This is a call for vengeance. Welcome to today's show. I want to share this with you because, of course, when the Super Bowl comes up, I always cover the commercials and I cover the Super Bowl halftime show usually, not just by default because there's always signs and symbols involved, especially in the halftime show, but specifically the commercials have a lot of undertones to it. Obviously, there's a lot of agendas in all the commercials. They know this because they know how many people watch these ads and actually watch the Super Bowl to see it, so they know they can program them with the ads. And we often get very disturbing ones. And Kayla Parker over on the website shared this from Paramount, who posted a commercial, which is about, it sums it up, right? Because they do these things subtly, and they say, well, if you see this messaging in there, then you're sick, and you're psychotic, and you're the one who has a problem because you can't take a joke. And the whole premise of this commercial is, quote, to throw the child. To throw the child. So I'm going to show you a clip from it, pieced together because of the copyrights that they take on these videos. So you have to clip it so that they don't copyright you. But Drew Barrymore, yes, Drew Barrymore, Illuminati puppet, Drew Barrymore, I've covered in the past. Of course, grew up as a child, was obviously a lot of things done with Drew, with Stephen King and Steven Spielberg and many of these people in Hollywood. One of these people, who had their brains fried through trauma-based activities. Of course, also in Santa Clarita Diet, which I've covered over the years, which is available on the website. But Sir Patrick Stewart, again, another Mason who, it was in movies like Conspiracy Theory, which he's wearing a Masonic ring in the film, and there was all these underlying tones. Of course, I think he was knighted even at some point in time, which just shows you how high up their ranking is in the secret societies. But look at this commercial, the undertones with even the guy from the show Survivor, making it tribal, almost like child sacrifice, Baal worship. But the whole theme is to throw a child, okay? And then they start talking about throwing a child. And of course, we're supposed to laugh at this, ladies and gentlemen. We're supposed to laugh. Look at this.
I can't get that thing up there. If it were a football, I'd be able to reach the top.
What about a football-shaped head? We throw the child. Throw him.
Throw him.
You can't throw a child.
Adam, or shut your face.
Shut me.
I'm not gonna throw a kid.
Fine. I'll throw him. Be brave. Be brave. I just threw him higher.
Just threw me high.
So that is as sick as it comes, in my opinion. Sure, could it be sicker? Well, it always could be sicker. But we know what, they could do as much as they can get away with. So some of the headlines are, throw the child, Patrick Stewart shines, an amusingly dark Paramount Super Bowl spot. And people out there they're like, oh, it's a grim twist. Now, do you think for a second that somebody wrote, and they were like, this is hilarious, throw a child. That's so funny, throw a child. They're programming people on a subliminal level, they don't even realize it, right? And they're like, oh, what does that mean? I'm going to pick up and throw my child? Well, we've seen over the years the subtle things they've done to make adults actually not just behave like children, despise children, right? They make children in these shows, I've covered it a million times, act as adults in the shows, cooking reality shows, Dancing with the Stars for children, Baby Bachelorette, making people view kids as adults, right? But at the same time telling you, oh, kids are bad, nobody wants to be a dad or a mom. All these movies have that undertone of like what a nightmare it is for parents to be parents. Oh, kids are the worst. Who wants kids? They've normalized Planned Parenthood and all these other things. And then they give you stuff like this, right? Where they're like, hey, throw the child. He's got the play, on his arm. It says throw the child. This type of mind control, people don't realize what it does and how they condition people to just despise children. But on top of that, it normalizes this type of stuff with, people see it and they're like, it's a cartoon, man. It's a cartoon football and he's throwing it. What kind of a psychopath do you have to be to come up with this in the first place? And if this is humor to you, then you probably should have at least a background check done on you. Now, I know they want to do background checks on people like us because we see these things and we question what they're really doing. And of course, we can look at Baal worship in the Bible. We can look at McMartin. We can look at so many things throughout history that have shown us how these people despise children, but they would say that we're the ones seeing this. That's what I always hear. When I talk about this stuff with adulting children, I used to get messages from these psychopaths and they'd say, oh, you're the one who's seeing this. That's really sick, right? And 6-7 years later, what we're seeing is the willingness of parents to allow their children to cut off their private parts at 5 years old. Okay, we're seeing the state intervene and say, we'll take the kids out of your house if you don't let them do this stuff. So that's how we've gotten to a point where 5-year-olds can make the decisions adults can make. It's all through mind control. Everything they do is through mind control. Okay, I've been talking about it for years. I just was recently talking about with the Elmo situation and the psychosis people are under. Nobody seems to get it. Okay, so when you see something like this, if you find this entertaining, there's something wrong with you. There really is. But the problem is that they worship the celebrities. Like, oh, it's Sir Patrick from X-Men or from Star Dork fame. And they're like, oh, it's so funny, right? Not to mention Patrick Stewart, I mentioned conspiracy theory, but also in the Borg Star Trek stuff, which has a lot to do with transhumanism and what's coming. So they see this stuff and they think it's normal. And then they think it's crazy for people like us to point out, hey, you know what? Throwing a child and giving that messaging on national TV, especially during a Super Bowl, when you're going to get hundreds of millions of people watch it, hey, you might want to refrain from doing that. But they can get away with this stuff. And they've continued to get away with it. And then they just point a finger at you, which is what the government does on a day-to-day basis, right? Oh, you question, some of the psyops that are out there, right? You question the border being open. Oh, you're a racist, right? Oh, you question us putting a transgender person in to every position in Congress because they're, by definition, criminally insane. Oh, you're a transphobic or a homophobic or a horrible bigot, right? That's what they do. This is basic, this is how they operate, okay? This is Communist Manifesto stuff 101. So they've trained their audience out there, the dumbed down audience, the adults who behave as kids, the adults who are likely to be predators themselves, who pretend they aren't. You can always see these people, right? They walk around, they have shirts on of like Pokemon, and they have the lib glasses and the blue hair, and they act like they're all righteous, and they're, oh, my vote, and oh, make the right, and they're the ones doing the abuse, et cetera, and they protect stuff like this because they think you're sick from pointing out that, hey, this type of stuff about throwing a child shouldn't even be talked about. You should never joke about throwing a child. I don't care. Oh, it's a cartoon. Even saying the words throw a child is disgusting. It's not only disgusting, it's criminal. Okay, so you want to talk about how they want to censor speech by people like us for speaking out against all this insanity. Like, oh, we got to stop it. It's hate speech. Oh, but we don't have to censor speech about throwing children. That's perfectly normal, right? That's not going to lead to people doing anything or looking at children differently, you psychopaths. This stuff makes me so irate and so sick when I see it. I get even sicker when I see people defend it because I look at them and I'm just like, are you that narcissistic that you can't see that mind control is real, that you can't see what they're doing to you and how they're programmed? They're like, it's just humor. It's just art. They get away with this stuff right in front of our faces. Paramount, right in front of our faces, right? Oh, yeah. How hilarious. I mean, did anybody watch that and say, this is so funny? This is so funny. I gotta watch it again. Most people looked at it and they probably were just going, what? Oh, okay. Like most people in hypnosis, they don't even know they're under hypnosis. They don't laugh to it. They don't question what it is. They just watch it and move on to the next commercial that puts them under hypnosis. That's how it usually works. So this is just more pure garbage that they're putting out there, putting in people's minds, seed planting in people's minds. It makes me absolutely sick. If you're still listening at this point, please make sure, if you haven't yet, check out my podcast. I have it linked below. I'm doing a podcast. Right now I'm doing a few times a week. I might do every day. About a 45-minute podcast where I go into deep dives about a lot of this stuff. Very important information, definitely uncensored information. So create an account if you haven't yet, and I'll do a walkthrough on this for people out there that want to know how. I'm on Spotify as well as Podbean. Really need to build that out. And really, most importantly, I need to build that out because when these channels get shut down, which they always will, always do, okay, it's not, I think I'm going to get shut down. We all know I will. And if you're new to this and you haven't learned yet, you'll learn quick. So if you want this content, my content, the stuff I put out, you got to subscribe to all the links below. There's the only way we could stay, in touch with each other. And of course, you could join the website, which is also linked below. And, sign up now, you click free videos and submit your email. But this is the world we live in, folks. Throw the child. Absolute psychopaths amongst us, ladies and gentlemen. But they call it marketing and they call it entertainment. And if you question it, you're the one who's bad. You're the one who's got a problem. And the moronic sheeple out there actually believe that people like us are crazy. It's unbelievable. I thank you for being here, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you're all well. God bless you and your families, as always.